Leslie, I might have already done it. So thank you for that. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Connect and Share, and it's number 54. Since we've been running these in 2020, we started, and we've been doing these every Friday morning for our industry, so that when they're available, any Friday morning, 10 o'clock, they can jump on. If they can't make it, we record these sessions. So please be aware that we do record, and it does go onto our YouTube channel so that the industry can catch up on any topics that they feel that they would like to look back on or understand more on. And so it helps them in getting up to speed on the industry. So firstly, may I pay my respects to our elders past, present and emerging on the lands of which we work, and let's hope that we can endorse and support their understanding of the land in how we interpret it to our visitors and our students as we get them into the outdoors. So a week in review, a short week, but my goodness, it doesn't feel like it because a lot has happened. Our mountain bike subcommittee met earlier this week, and it was a great meeting where we had National Parks come along and we're discussing the cycle strategy. So we're really excited about the development in this space, and we hope to be working alongside National Parks continually in this process. And yeah, really great meeting. Then we also had a first taste of attendance at a careers evening. So as we know, we need to embed the outdoor industry in the thinking of our year 11, year 12 students in the choice that they make when they exit school, and put it in the consideration mindset. So we had a bit of a go at going to a careers evening this week, and with great success. A lot of kids certainly came up to me and said, I didn't know that was a career. So we've got to do more in this space, and we certainly will be working through the learnings from that evening and doing a lot more of that. We had the Officers for New South Wales Stakeholder Workshop, where we were introduced to the brand new Minister, Minister Natalie Ward, MLC. So she gave her perspective on what she would like to see in sport, and particularly in the engagement side with the sector. So that was really pleasing to hear, and we look forward to what comes out of the stakeholder engagement plan that they're compiling. Then following that, we had the Sprinter Symposium. So our very own Dr. Lindsay Reese, who is on our board, certainly chaired that event and did an awesome job. It was a great activity where a lot of the research that's been done in the last 12 months has come to light, and the sharings and the learnings from that. But also I was privileged to be in the end session of that day. And it was all about the future of data, which, as most of you know, we are lacking in this space. So I certainly made the case for trying to get a bit more of a pulse on data, particularly in the outdoors, but in the active recreation space, so that we know the trends and what's happening on the ground on a day-to-day basis. So we hope that something will come from that, and certainly a lot of support in that area. The other thing we've been working on this week is the Oca Summit Outcome. So the board of Oca met to discuss, all the different elements that came out of the summit and the next steps. So you'll be seeing some communications very soon on that, and we're really, really excited about what came out of that day and what is yet to come. So keep an eye on that. Courtesy of my colleague in Queensland, Don Courtney, thank you so much for sending this through. This is a safety alert on Strandviz, I think Strandviz or Strandviz, I'm not too sure how you pronounce it, on ropes courses. So this is something, if you have this product in your ropes courses, please get in touch with possibly the High Gate Group or your supplier. But Leslie's got a link there to this document. So if Leslie, you want to throw that into the chat there, just in case you have this product in your establishment, I urge you to look into that a little bit further. Big week on the wage review, the annual wage review from the Fair Work Commission. So you might have already seen this, but what I thought I'd do is quickly share with you the guts of this. And that comes to light in, let me just go to share screen on this for you, so you can hear it yourself from the horse's mouth. And hopefully you'll be able to see this quite clearly on what actually occurred.
The matters identified in our decision have led us to award an increase of 2.5%. The national minimum wage will be $772.60 per week, or $20.33 per hour. This amounts to an increase of $18.80 per week. Modern award minimum wages will also be increased by 2.5%. I now turn to the timing of these increases. Absent exceptional circumstances, the Fair Work Act provides that variations to a national minimum wage order and to modern award minimum wages arising from a review are to operate from 1 July in the financial year following the review. A strong case must be made out in order to warrant the deferral of a wage determination arising from a review. We are satisfied that exceptional circumstances exist, such as to warrant a delayed operative date for certain modern awards. The variation determinations in the modern awards in the aviation and tourism sectors, the fitness industry award, and certain retail trade sector awards will come into operation on 1 November 2021. The variation determination in respect of the general retail industry award will come into operation on 1 September 2021. For all of the remaining modern awards, we were not persuaded that there were exceptional circumstances such as to warrant a delayed operative date. The variation determinations for all of those awards will operate from 1 July 2021.
So there you have it, guys. We have a minimum award increase, which will start 1 July for most of your awards, and it will be a staged approach for some of the other awards that you may find in the industry. I'm not too sure where everyone sits with the award that they operate in, but I urge you to have a look at your particular award and when you need to instigate that pay rise or that minimum wage rise. So I'm not too sure if anyone wants to share any further knowledge on that, because I know there has been a bit of chatter on social media, but if you do, please feel free to speak up on that one.
Just for interest, I mean, I pass any rise on to all my employees, regardless of whether none of my employees are anywhere near the bloody minimum wage. Yeah. I've always done that. Is that something you're supposed to do, or is that just something that you can do if you wish? Is it only actually affect people that are legally on the minimum wage in an award?
You're being a very nice guy, Dave, basically, but certainly not something that is required, but is a practice that a lot of people do instigate. I don't know how many people online actually are taking that approach, but feel free if you are or you are not to speak up. It is your choice, of course. You don't have to, you're not required to. The minimum wage is really the key here, and then obviously meeting the other conditions within the awards depending on the grade levels.
It could be something that would be good considering the problems we've had and the discussions about paying conditions across the outdoor industry. If most of, if not all of the outdoor industry actually pass this one on, we might win a few friends and influence people in our employment group, I suggest. Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't have to be forced to do things. It's a nice thing to do.
Yeah, and I don't think it's any surprise from anyone on the line that it was a huge discussion in the summit, and also not in respect to retention of people, but also the reputation of the industry. So this sort of thing actually goes across a broad spectrum of outcomes for our industry. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how we can move in a better space for our pay conditions and retention strategies, but also promotion of the industry. Okay, we might move on, and I might actually jump ahead to Neil, who's online, because I know he's got to go to another meeting. Wilderness first aid is something I'm continually getting a lot of requests from you guys about your up-to-date certification or willingness to partake. But Neil's here, and I will hand over to him, and he can introduce himself and also tell us what opportunities are coming up.
Okay, how you going, crew?
Very good.
Yeah. So, yeah, this was a bit of a last minute thing. Sharon sent it through to me. And just a couple of things. Most of the programs that we have up until October, unfortunately, filled pretty well straight away. The issue we're having, obviously, is in Victoria is COVID. So what it's done for our organisation is basically taken 2 to 3 staff out of the mix, which is unfortunate because we're all infected. So it has reduced the number of courses that are offered interstate because a bulk of our staff members are in Victoria. We've still got them in ACT, New South Wales, Queensland, Western Australia. But we don't run a great deal through the centre there with South Australia and Northern Territory. So hence a lot of students do fly. We are intending on putting more programs on for 4th term. And we are going for a bit of an employment heist to see. So I'm interviewing 3 or 4 different people at the moment. And they are obviously interstate as well, Tasmania, Queensland and New South Wales. So just, yeah, we didn't expect COVID to change our business in such a way that we are busier than ever. So it just seemed, because we lost 5 months of training last year. So I'm just going to put up where our course calendar is. I'm not real good at this, so do I just press enter?
You should be able to share with
Did that come up then?
Yes, it did. It went into the chat. That's great.
Okay, so that's the that's what's currently going at the moment. And there'll be more being added, but it's happened so quickly for us that we're back doing a lot of stuff for Defence Force, RAAF, New South Wales State Emergency Service, and unless we grab another 2 to 3 instructors, you know, over the next couple of months, we'll struggle to get back to dealing with the outdoor industry, and that's where we fortunately, that's where we cut our teeth. Many moons ago when I was with the Wilderness Medicine Institute. So we are after a very particular type of person to work for us, and that's where we have trouble. So we need an outdoor specialist like yourselves, but we also need people with patient management experience, which is a little bit harder. And we also need people with teaching experience, which is very helpful, but to have that that medical knowledge behind them is also you know, a difficult one to find. So you know, it's a little bit easier in the outdoor industry to find paddling specialists, climbing specialists and bushwalking specialists and so forth, but for us we need a particular type person. So let's get rid of that. That has not stopped. So, so where it sits also, that I've found over the last 3 or 4 months, that there's quite a number of organisations that do similar programming to us have sort of dropped off. So that's also created an extra, I suppose, load on for us. And as you can see by my beard, I'm probably now the old wilderness first aid trainer in Australia. So I need, yeah, we do need a couple of more people. But if, I suppose what we can put out to the outdoor industry is if we can get people to host programs rather than us just to post a course and wait for it to potentially fill. If there's organisations out there that might have 12 staff or they have 6 staff and they've got a lot of freelancers that come and work for them and so forth, if we can all sort of pool those people into a similar recertification time of the year, we potentially be able to get these programs up really quickly, rather than myself posting a course that's in New South Wales, just out of Sydney or Mittagong, wherever it might be, and then waiting for people to join. You know, we've got Critter up there in Queensland and a few others that they really manage their freelancers as well as their staff, and know where their recertification times are, what years and what months. You know, maybe I can put that out to employers as well, to say, hey, you know, we've got our dozen people. What we do, we just book and we fly and we do. It just gives us a better window.
Yeah, great. So the way I understand it, you've got a course running at Camp Wanawong, is it?
That's correct. We got 2. Yeah, we got a recert. That's for YouthWorks.
Yep.
And we got the 5-day, and I think the 5-day are filled within a week. And I think there's about 3 positions left on the recertification course.
Okay, great. So we'll get that out for you. Certainly we're on the call today. We'll certainly spread the word. I'll put it into the newsletter and we'll get that filled, because the more people that get in and recert, it might open up some opportunities for some staffing for you as well. Yeah,
it's and we'll definitely be watching closely now to every student that comes onto our program for where they sit potentially for some employment as well.
Yeah.
But we will probably in the next 4 weeks put something out on the website, and probably have another page, employment, and it will have everything from qualifications they need through to like a job description, and how they can contact us. So
that's great. Does anyone have any questions for Neil while we've got him before he has to duck off?
Look at that.
Yeah, you've answered all their questions. So that's great. Thank you. Thanks
I've got a question.
Go for it. Yeah.
So you've got your normal first aid and range of courses, and then you've got your wilderness first aid. Yeah. One of the gaps I see is many people don't go into wilderness areas. Yeah, they're in sort of in between, if you like. Yeah. Is there a market? I think there would be a market for a shorter course for just outdoor, managing outdoors without perhaps all of the wilderness components, because a lot of camps or stuff are on them just halfway between, where you can get an ambulance quickly and not quite get one at all.
Yeah, look, I totally agree. And what goes onto our website, it's David, is probably 20% of the programs we run each year. So we run a lot of 3-day programs. We run a lot of 3-day remote programs for SES Victoria, New South Wales, geologists like Geosciences Australia. I think it's a great program, and I think it's a program that is quite solid for those who work in hardtop camping. That basically you head out for the day, but you come back to to your central point. The wilderness first aid definitely is advisable for journey-based instructors, freelancers, and the biggest problem I feel is that when the skill set came out for wilderness first aid, a lot of organisations just jumped on it and said, this has got to be the standard. I don't totally agree with that, because I'm with you, David, that there is still good programs we can run and teach operators really good skills that don't technically go out for 5, 6, 10, 14 days.
Yeah.
So, and the people who, ASQA and the likes and Skills Australia and so forth, who write the programs are not real content experts on what we need. But it needs a lot of people to drive change. So you know, if you're working with people that just work in hardtop camps, David, or anyone else on the forum at the moment, we need others to drive that a 3-day program is strong. It's cheaper, it's more affordable for freelancers to actually go and do that program. But we've got to have this medium that if people go out and do a 3-day program, organisations have to accept that qualification.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and the other thing is people are driven, and I've been watching Facebook and BOF and Aussie freelancers and everything. Everyone is driven by units of competency. I'm not a man that's driven by units of competency. You know, we just want our instructors and our freelancers to be competent. So I would like to see us build an industry standard course, not a competency based course. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well,
no, that doesn't make sense actually, because they've got to be competent. But we have an industry standard course that is specific to our industry, and then we have one that is, you know, driven by international standards and so forth.
Yeah, that could be something that the qualifications working group coming out of the industry task force thing we just did,
The National Summit.
could be looking at. Yeah, that'd be a good out to look at something like that.
Yeah.
Maskell's thoughts.
Yeah. The more units people want, the more time it takes, the more theory it has, the more assessment that is involved. And it takes our time off the ground, flicking blood around and having sausages hanging out and broken legs and all the bits and pieces, and freaking people out to see if they can control themselves under a stressful situation, to putting us back in the classroom. You know, you look at this bloke here, I don't want to be in a classroom. But if I can get you out and teach you 3 days of good, solid skills, that's more important than the amount of units of competency you're going to receive on your certificate.
Very much
but
so.
I've had this discussion with a lot of people, and yeah, I don't know.
Neil, I'd be happy to talk to you about this. Jeffrey here.
G'day, Jeff.
Going beyond units of competency, I'm an advocate for units of competency, but they're bare minimum. They are bare minimum. Now, I'm going to defend one part of what you said there around the units. As chair of the Industry Reference Committee that helped put together that latest one, there were over 5,000 bits of feedback from the industry on the qualifications of the units. So it's not just people making things up. You've got the industry giving lots of feedback. But in saying that, units of competency are a bare minimum. That's a starting point that the industry says that's what we expect. We can always go beyond those starting points. And look, I also say that while I'm the chair there, I also work for Scouts Australia. We use units of competency. Units of competency are not classroom based. They're out in the field. That's how we do them. So it's how the training is used, how the education is engaged with that makes the difference. If we want to
I totally agree.
Yeah. So if we want to go classroom based, totally. I think that's completely lost where we're coming at from the outdoors. But you can do units of competency in a relevant way without being classroom based. And they are a minimum, not the answer to everything.
Yeah, and the big thing is with the size of some of the units that are in it, that expecting 80 hours and for one particular unit, then 40 hours for another, and so forth. It is very tricky, and I've been through a couple of audits with ASCA and so forth, and it's absolutely bloody horrible to sit in there for 2 or 3 days while they audit what you do, and there's never ever been an issue on the way we run our programs out there practically. It's always been an issue with what happens theoretically, and You know, as you would know, you're more of an expert than mine. It's the ticking of boxes. It's crazy. And I'm with you that I would love to just run a 005 remote first aid. So that's the standard. And I can run that over 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 days. And what it is technically you can get that unit in a day. But what we're going to do now is we're going to give you some of the most extended type of information and skills and scenarios and you name it, but we're not governed by, we need to cover information by 3 or 4 other different units that are in there. So let's have a good industry standard program that can be, as you said, extended over a different number of days, but it's all happening outside. And I'm not too, you know, I'm not real smart with it because I'm a practical person. And, you know, I teach anyone, anywhere, any country to keep someone alive if they can, using some magic skills. But I would love to, I don't know, maybe we can talk, Jeff, on the side about this.
That'd be good.
And see what you think.
And
like
Neil, David Maskell's put a really valid point in there, and I know you've actually got to get back to the classroom, which is why you've got to go. But
that's okay.
Just a really quick point that David's made. Dave, do you want to talk to that? Because I think you'd articulate that well.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. I'm David from Queensland. Yeah, I think I held Wilderness First Aid and I jumped through the hoops every 3 years to recertify and then did the full course. And I was fortunate last year I was able to get into a course. So I'm back working up here in Queensland. I just came on the program the last 4 days. But our mental health issues with the young people we work with are more prevalent than ever before because of lockdown, because of pandemic. There are courses, but I don't think as an industry we point our young instructors towards those courses as an equivalent level of training. So if you're only doing a center-based camp and you only need a remote area first aid, perhaps you also need to have an understanding of how, you know, 14-year-old brains work, and if they're in the spectrum, what that actually means. As much as you need to understand what a dietary thing for gluten intolerance might be or lactose intolerance. These are the other areas I think we're not addressing, and perhaps again, this is a conversation for the national summit working groups to address moving forward. But yeah, I think there are courses. I think we need to maybe promote those and make them part of a bigger package of, again, base level competency, and then you build on that. I know I use my experience, and I managed a 14-year-old ASD student this week who was having trouble, and he stayed on program, which was huge for him because he previously left program. But I don't.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, I totally agree. 5 years ago, I became instructor for mental health first aid, and was for about 3 years. Did some stuff for Outward Bound, did some stuff for OEG, and did some other types of programs. And the biggest problem I had with that is people were steering in that direction, but weren't taking up on the sort of the offer. And people gave me some great feedback, said, hey, this is great, but is it totally relevant to outdoor education? And I said, yeah. I went back to Mental Health First Aid Australia and said, I need to modify this program to suit the outdoor industry because that's what I specialise in. And basically they were pretty well point blank. No, our program is our program. You deliver our program and you deliver it in such a manner that you use this book and this PowerPoint. And I found what was happening is, as you said, David, it just really wasn't suiting what we need, because mental health in an office setting, in an urban setting, is totally different to the kids when we take them out bush and they're away from home, not eating the same food, and you know they're with people they don't know, they're sleeping in cabins with people they don't want, they're suffering anxiety and the likes. Yeah, I would really love to see some sort of a shake-up. And I think Jeff, David, everyone in the group, you know, is there a call for it now? Is there a call to steer away from the wilderness first aid skill set? Is there, I'm not sure. Jeff, you might be able to help me. Because in the skill set, for instance, it's got your coordination components and so forth. And that's not our job. Our job's, like, we can coordinate a small scene, but the police coordinate. The police coordinate the SES, the ambulance. Like that's a massive area. So we do a lot of coordination and, you know, reporting, and but it's all really about the scene. And we get to the point where we're calling an ambulance or dealing with a chopper or whatever it is. So there is coordination there, but coordination's a bigger picture. So if we could somehow, I like the SISX, the 001, the respond to emergency services, emergency situations, sorry. Yeah, so my little brain now, I'm over 50, is wanting to shrink some things and just say, you know what are we here for?
Yeah.
And what we're here for is to keep someone alive, not the over concerning of how the coordination of the state emergency services is going to be with the police and the police with the ambulance service. And I'm more into let's for every scene, triage scene or whatever it might be, what's the coordination going to happen around 5 multiple patients? So, you know, I've let that known to a lot of people in the industry, but, you know, it's bigger than Neil Ritchie, I believe, and it's bigger than Wilderness First Aid Australia. But I could help work on that one-on-one or with a small group that's,
Right.
you know, wants to talk to us about it, you know.
And
Can I make a suggestion? Yeah.
Yep. Stop smiling, David.
Me, I was just thinking, dealing with young people like you that are only a bit over 50, it's sort of, yeah. But perhaps, yeah, this is a good subject. Is it possible, Laurie, to organise amongst some of the little group we've got here now, maybe a Zoom meeting at another time for an hour to set up where do we take this, rather than just let it sort of lapse or become an outdoor council thing? Maybe we could do a little bit of work on it in the coming weeks and actually set up a couple of systems.
You took the words out of my mouth, David. And to David Maskell's point, I think there's an opportunity here that, whether it be NOAC or a face-to-face discussion with a group, to feed into certainly the summit. But the summit is looking at quite broad issues, and this is a very specialist area which I think needs to feed into that. But yeah, let's get our ducks in order on this topic first. I think it's a great idea. So let's take it offline. But thank you, Neil, so much for coming. I literally had a minute for you, and now
I soaked up all your time. Yeah.
No, I didn't want to stop it. Don't worry, I'll cram the rest in. We'll make it work. But and I won't steal from Aaron, so because Aaron's got a bit of a topic that he wants to discuss too. So thank you so much for being with us. Really, really do appreciate it. Join us any Friday. We're here at 10 o'clock. So yeah, hope again soon. But we'll be in.
And if anyone wants to contact me directly or whatever, or through you, Laurie, or, you know, just Jeff, if you want to start some dialogue, I'm happy to at least look at that, because that looks at the ASCO requirements and our unit requirements. Yeah, just let me know.
Awesome.
Thanks, Neil.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy.
Awesome.
Bye.
And thanks, David Gregory, for also volunteering there. You've got some great skills you can add to that as well. Thank you. All right, guys. So I'm going to do a quick wrap around now of the things that you need to know. I attended a Australian Lawyer and Business summit. I think it was like more of a webinar this week, and they were focusing in on end of financial year and some of the things that they were looking at. People are going to be a lot more scrutinised with the ATO now around employer contract. And I think this is an area that we certainly have some challenges in, whether we're actually contracting people or we're employing people. I encourage you to go to the ATO tool to just check this and make sure that you are compliant as an employer in this space. So just a not a word of caution, because it should be something we're doing anyway, but you know, the ATO is certainly going to be looking at this as it came out of COVID and all the different things that added to it. I'm apologising for Cameron, who couldn't make it today, from the Australian Small Business and Family Enterprise Ombudsman. We've been having some good discussions with them in the follow-up to the insurance inquiry, which happened, you might remember, last year, and there's a lot of follow-up outside of that inquiry. So they just wanted to alert us to this, and they will be coming on to another session in the next couple of weeks. But I just want to alert you to this, that the Insurance Council of Australia has released an independent paper on commercial insurance issues. Now, even though on the website it actually says the submission's closed today, they're extending it because they saw that we contributed to the inquiry and they would like our feedback as a sector. It's really important that I ask you all to have a look at this and put your submissions forward. You can see the 3 top things that have come out of their paper, which is affordability, which we know is an issue. No one size fits all. Again, big issue for us. But solutions do exist, and they require collaboration between insurers, small business sectors, etc. So if you could please put your comments down on your experiences, your case studies, anything that you've had in relation to the insurance sector, submit it through to that email address there. The other thing the Ombudsman is doing at the moment is the review of the discretional mutual. You might remember we had a presentation last year from the amusement, leisure and recreation sector on their proposal of the mutual. So if that they are literally looking at that at the moment and reviewing that model. So we look forward to their feedback on that. And the government announcement on the reinsurance pool, more for Northern Australia, but it's an interesting move that has happened in relation to insurance, because this is a reinsurance pool to support some of those climate change issues or major severe weather events. So I'm sick of hearing my own voice. Let's keep going. Need to knows. The Education Awards close Saturday. That's tomorrow. So for New South Wales and ACT, if you want to enter the Education Awards, please do so. The link will pop up into your chat very soon. The regional New South Wales grants for the Women in Sport and Rec is still open, but Evan alerted me to the new one, which has just come out, which is the Regional Tourism Activation Fund. So this looks like a great opportunity for us to tap into the tourism infrastructure type of thing. So they actually open now. They close not until the 11th of August, but there is up to $5 million for some of the bigger infrastructure projects. So I urge you to have a look at that if you've got an idea, a network of people that you're working with in your local area to get some new investment into the area to bring more visitors through. I urge you to have a look at this. Now, there is an element there where you've got to be working with an incorporation. We are so open to helping you in this process, and we would obviously support you as the peak body in this space for you. Evan, did you want to add anything to that? Did I cover it okay?
No, it's fine. I think I encourage people to get in there and have a look. I mean, like all government funds, not everything suits everybody. So have a look through there's a couple of streams as far as scale and scope. Generally with these funds, we have people like me all across the state that look after things on a regional level, but I'm happy to be that point of contact for the outdoor industry. And then, you know, if it requires, I can certainly refer you on to one of my colleagues from wherever you are in New South Wales. The key word is regional, which the New South Wales government currently believes doesn't include Newcastle or Wollongong LGAs. So if you're in Lake Macquarie, that's fine. And Sydney Metro is not included in that regional concept as well. The Blue Mountains does become a bit of a grey area, depending on which way they want to jump with things. But yeah, feel free to reach out to me, and I can sort of help you navigate the joy of dealing with government applications.
Awesome. No, that's great. Thank you so much, Evan. And yeah, I'll talk to some of the members about some of their ideas and maybe filter some questions through. But brilliant. Thank you.
No dramas.
A big reminder about the NOAC, we've already sort of discussed it in the chat and other, but this is on the horizon now. It's not that far away. But more importantly, the early bird rates close in 12 days. So if you are wanting to attend and you want that saving, now's the time to jump in and register for that. So yeah, just a quick reminder on that one. Other
Laurie,
reminders?
can I ask a quick question on that? Does that include the early bird rate for the student rate? Is there an early bird rate for that, or is this a flat student rate?
Flat student rates are being released on the 1st of July. So it's a flat student rate, and we do actually have a cap on how many students can get in, but I think we'll be fine from going off previous years, looking at the numbers. I think we'll have enough to help our students get in. But yeah, they'll go on sale on the 1st of July.
Okay, all right, thanks for that.
No worries. Jeffrey, got your message. Evan, do you want to just flick your email address into the chat for us, if you can hear me?
Oh, it's pretty special.
I'm happy to be the conduit if you'd like. I don't mind. Okay.
All good.
So,
Half New South Wales got it.
okay, great. With the reminders, you got Choose Canberra vouchers, which are still happening. So if you're a Canberra operator, make sure you're in that program. The reminder on the Dine and Discover, if you're a registered business there, they now expire 31st of July. So they've extended it by a month. And if you're into applying for awards and reviewing your business, which is a great exercise to do, the ACT and the New South Wales Tourism Awards are now open. So you can look on the relevant websites and jump in there and nominate away. Events coming up. Next week, we have National Parks presenting the EcoPass reform and what's changed with the EcoPass licensing. Better Futures Forum, which we've discussed in previous sessions. That's a great event that is looking at climate and environment. Of course, NOEC, another reminder there. And the ABAT Outdoor Health Symposium is coming up in October. David Maskell, do you want to talk about Inside the Outhouse? When's the next meeting for Inside the Outhouse?
Next Monday. I was just drafting something for the chat. Yeah, insidetheouthouse.org. We're addressing, again, talking about tertiary sector and pathways. And so pretty relevant to some of the earlier conversations today.
Yes.
And we have Matt Cox from Victoria University is coming in. He's one of the program coordinators there, I believe. And hopefully a few bodies from maybe New South Wales and Queensland chasing people down today. So at 6:13 p.m. on Monday evening on the East Coast, and adjusted for every other state, insidetheouthouse.org. Get in the room and connect.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Great. Now, a lot of you know my passion behind the mentoring component of any development leadership opportunities. And although we haven't been able to secure any funds in this space, by sheer evolution, things are happening, and I've matched some businesses together to get some mentoring support. But one that's come to our attention is Aaron, and he's on the line here. Aaron, I'll get you to introduce yourself, Aaron, and tell us about your idea. But I wanted you to also ask the skills and knowledge of this forum here, those questions that we discussed. So Aaron, I might hand over to you. I'll let you do the talking.
Thank you, Laurie. G'day, guys. Name's Aaron. I'm currently living out in Broken Hill. I've been here for about 4 years now, and I'm a teacher. I'm the head teacher of industrial arts at Broken Hill High School. That's my position. But my sort of goal is I'm looking to start up like you can see on the screen, a woodworking school camp. The sort of rough idea is I'd like to get a somewhere. I'm thinking maybe down on the south coast of New South Wales, but sort of open to wherever, like a sort of dilapidated old piece of, like exhausted piece of farmland. And start a woodworking school camp. So the idea would be that school groups come, like a year 9, 10, 11, or even younger or older group would come, and the idea would be they'd arrive Monday morning, leave Friday, and during that time they get to spend the whole time in the workshop working on a various woodwork project of their choice, or we could provide plans for projects or whatever. And it's a project they all get to take home at the end of the week. The timber, the idea is to show the whole cycle of, from seed to workshop. So we show them how we mill trees on site, and we show them the process of milling a tree, and they can learn about that. They get to help stack the timber to dry and that sort of thing. And one of the bigger parts I would like to focus on would be taking students on like guided bushwalks and learn about the different native local trees to the area, and teaching them how to collect seeds from those trees and then go and plant them in our greenhouse, and sort of have a cycle there where students plant trees in the greenhouse, and then previous groups that have planted in the greenhouse would then grow into saplings. And each student that attends the camp would get to go out and plant trees on this sort of exhausted farmland and try to reforest a bit of area. they can sort of see how that sort of sustainable forestry works. Yeah, and then we would love to just sort of have it as a sort of life skills sort of camp, being able to teach them all sorts of useful things, workshop, camping things like how to set up a tent, how to do all that sort of stuff, cooking campfire foods at night, bit of gardening in between. And yeah, sort of the options of what we could do are quite broad, but the main focus would be on sort of workshop, teaching hands-on skills and that sort of sustainability. And if I could share my screen,
Yep.
access to do that.
You should be able to do that.
There we go. Can you see that?
You can.
Cool. So yeah, I've got here the this is a website that I've sort of just drafted up to. So when I discuss this idea with people of what I exactly want to do, I can sort of show them this. So the activities I'd like to do on camp would be workshop, sawmilling, tree planting, gardening, cooking, and camping. That's sort of the idea of what I would like to have it run as. And to see if there was a genuine interest for this camp, I sort of I sent an email out as a Google Forms to a group, like a sort of industrial arts teacher email chain that I'm in, and asked them, here's the questions I asked them. Would your school be interested in attending a camp like this? And had, out of 48 people that responded, majority said yes. I sort of got a gauge on price, how much like different schools would be willing to pay. If they enjoyed the camp, would they be interested in attending again? And would they consider sending multiple groups in one year? So for example, sending a year 10 class for 1 week, and then later in the year, sending a year 11 class. And about half the people said yes, they would. And then I sort of left a bit open at the bottom for feedback, and I got a lot of great feedback from schools on how to improve on the idea, how to make it work really well. That's sort of where I'm at the moment. And now I just sort of wanted to talk to a group of people like you and just sort of get ideas and a bit of leadership on how to actually get this business started. Like how did you guys get your businesses started from the ground up?
Beautiful, Aaron. Thank you for that overview. And I think you've already got a potential partner in crime. Bronwyn, did you want to talk to your comments, or were you just saying that sounds like an awesome idea?
Well, actually, I if I can, we actually do farm forestry on our property. We're registered primary producers. We're in the network, the Hunter Farm Forestry Network as well. We've got a mill and we're doing all those sorts of things. And I've been playing around with the idea of doing a lot more bushcraft and things as well on the property and camp sort of things. So I think, yeah, we should get talking. It would be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to.
Awesome. Great. I'll let you share your details. You should be able to privately chat with one another into the chat. Alternatively, if you can't, I'll connect you to after this. So that's great. Thanks, Bronwyn. Any thoughts or ideas for Aaron?
There are a few organisations I've had things to do with, like Typo Station down in Victoria, that had various managers. It's currently the Beechworth Jail cooperative group that are running it, but it's for kids with issues, street kids from Melbourne, all that type of stuff. Yeah, and they have a rather large woodworking component, and they also had metalworking. Yeah, I'm just wondering though, if you put together a bit of a program, right, that other people you could license people to do, or whether you provided it yourself or you license people to do it, it could be another way to spread that concept, yeah, because they've already got all the woodworking stuff, and the Typo Station's a historic building with accommodation and that, but it's stuck in the middle of a pine forest, but next to also state forest, yeah, so you've got agroforestry and normal forestry around it.
And old forests, yeah. Yeah, well, because that's sort of I've been working on my business plan and sort of looking at the different like revenue streams, and I've sort of been realizing like I feel like the camp wouldn't only be sort of limited to high school students. Like, would love to be able to open it up to, like you were saying, sort of kids in programs like that, like trying to get them off the street, that sort of thing. Disability groups, aged care groups, things like that. Just getting people outside and hands-on. I think there's endless opportunities of different groups that could be involved with the program.
A book for you, Aaron, E-Myth Revisited. Have a look at, if you haven't read that book before. So it's just
what was it called?
E-Myth Revisited. and it's written by Michael Gerber. I think it's Michael Gerber. Yeah, I think it was Michael Gerber. A really good book on entrepreneurship. But also exactly what David's talking about is the turnkey solution and putting it into a process-driven model that can be replicated. Cool. Any other suggestions or ideas for Aaron?
Aaron, have you reached out to Forestry Corp New South Wales?
Not yet.
I suspect they don't have a local office.
No,
I suspect they don't have a local office in Broken Hill. No. I've got family from out the way, but I think there'd be some really good opportunities there for you to engage with them as far as that forestry component, that initial growing and greenhouse type stuff. And if not them, they would have contacts within the local industry, depending on whether you go South Coast, North Coast, or wherever. Hardwood, softwood. I mean, once again, there's as Laurie said, it's great to be able to create these things so they can be replicated. Certainly my role in government has been to, whatever I do, I always go, well, can we do this elsewhere in the state? Because it just seems silly to do things in the beautiful Hunter region, which is a great spot for this sort of stuff too. We've got great forests up in the mid-coast. So it might be, I'll send you a contact through from Forests, who looks after the sort of the public non-forestry side of things, but she knows everything about everything when it comes to people using forests for things other than forestry. So as far as camping and those sorts of places, access to forestry people, she'd be really good to provide that resource base. And I'm sure they would provide that sort of stuff for free anyway, as part of their role as their operation. And also, I think there's a number of probably professional forestry products companies across the state, and I've dealt with a couple of them recently with the Bushfire Fund, that are really sort of forward thinking and innovative. They're not just turning lumps of wood into lumps of smaller wood. They're turning into using to make very high end furniture and kitchen fittings and that sort of stuff, which I think when people start seeing, oh, they just go timber, well, yeah, but it turns into some really amazing stuff, and that it creates that concept of a career pathway, which I suspect is part of what you're doing, and obviously a bit of a struggle out there in Broken Hill to get this sort of stuff in people's heads about trees, let alone anything else. But I think it just making it as sexy and as innovative and wow is going to get people in beyond those that are really already keen. So yeah, I'll send you through some details. I'll get my emails there in the chat, and I'll see if I can connect up with some people and get those conversations started.
Evan, are you thinking?
Fantastic. Yeah, I'll put. Sorry, go on, Laurie.
Sorry, Evan, were you thinking of Louise Faulkner?
Absolutely.
Yep. So, Aaron, just on our YouTube channel, which I sent you the link to, Louise actually attended a Connect and Share. It would have been, I'm going to guess, probably July last year sometime. I can't exactly remember, but it was midway through last year, and it was a really good session where she explained Forestry Corp. So that might be a good one before you touch base with Louise to just get your head around. And yeah,
Okay.
as Evan said, she's got a great team that are across the state that can certainly connect you. Yeah, no, great. Thank you, Evan. Awesome.
That's all right. Just be careful though, Aaron. You might create a monster here. You get a lot of, I suspect you'll get a lot of interest up and down the coast from all the little timber towns and the industry people. And I know I've got a friend who's a wood turner who loves this stuff. So just be careful. You might be unleashing the Kraken with this one.
What a good idea. Yeah. The other thing to think about, which Evan touched on, is that career pathing, because as you probably heard here a little bit more so in other Connect and Shares, we're really struggling in the industry with workforce and trying to get people into the industry. So, what you're doing here could be a great feeder into the industry. Any other thoughts or suggestions for Aaron?
Yeah, I've got one. Have you thought about involving First Nations people? A bit of history of how the First Nations people used the forests and what they turned it into. It would give you. There's some funding streaming. It involves First Nations people, perhaps in programs, and so there's
absolutely, because
environment. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a very strong sort of connection to country out here in Broken Hill, and it's something I definitely really would love to push at the camp. I would just like to sort of zone in on exactly what area and what country we would be placing the camp before I start to focus on that, because I know things are different region to region, country to country. But yeah, absolutely would love to incorporate as much of that as I could.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, great.
And then I was wondering, in terms of just, because this is something that's just sort of one of the big questions that is in the back of my mind about it. Because I'd imagine most of the people in here are heavily involved in outdoor education in some way or another, or some sort of outdoor activities or whatever it may be. Getting originally started, I'm sort of wondering, is it something that I need to sort of just continue saving and starting myself, or is it best to take a loan or look for a grant to sort of just that original sort of cash flow just to get the business off the ground? I'm not really sure what the best way to go about that is.
Great question.
I reckon personally, I've watched people with partnerships and getting grants. I reckon start small, fund it yourself, make it viable with a good business plan, so that it is actually financially viable, breaking even within a reasonable amount of time, all that sort of thing, and try not to do things on a budget. Yeah, we've got to make our industry profitable, viable, pay people properly, a whole range of things that you could get some advice on in the mentoring program, perhaps, as we get it up. But I'd start small yourself, keep your dream. My experience with small operators, the ones that survive are the ones that are individuals, bloody minded, really want to achieve something and just drive through all the obstacles themselves, getting assistance from everyone else, but only themselves.
Yeah, so because I've got he's not here in the moment, he's actually overseas. A business partner of mine, his name's Lloyd. We're looking at just sort of us two being the sole runners of the camp, and just for the first couple of years, just us two trying to get it all running smoothly and figure out all the kinks. And before we look at even, taking multiple groups at one time, just try and get it running at that small scale.
Any other thoughts for Aaron before you give my voice again? No, they're all flabbergasted by your idea, I think. Aaron, I think that, thanks, Dave. Talk soon. I think the as Dave said, organic, definitely. Hook up with people like David, like Bron. Bron has got great skills, knowledge in this area, and certainly use your connections in the industry. What we do really well as an industry is collaborate. So the more you sort of work with each other, the better the information is going to be. Mentoring program, leave it with me, I'm still working on it. But just to answer your question on loans and that type of thing, I think the best thing in a partnership is make sure your legals are in place just to protect yourself. So when you're going into a partnership, just do everything by the book. As comfortable as it may seem with a partner, just do everything by the book in the start, because that's going to protect you long term. It may be wonderful ideas, rosy beginnings, etc. But the biggest advice I've given anyone in my economic development career is getting your legals sorted first, and that is the most important. So making sure, and that comes down to finances, whether it be equal share, all of that in writing. What are you contributing? What are you doing? I know I mentioned eMyth, and I'm a big fan of eMyth Revisited, but that book will also give you some tips and hints on that as well, because you need to write your job descriptions for each other, so you're not crossing your own boundaries. Write your job descriptions like you were setting up the business for 5 years' time, because that's the jobs that you're going to need to get your vision to take action. And then assign your names to those job descriptions so that you know equally what you're taking on. And then as you grow, you can separate that job description easily from you and have someone employed in that. Does that make sense? But yeah, eMyth really articulates that well. But yeah, legals definitely. Obviously work out how much it's going to cost, and you'll have to sit down there and work out, is it a loan? Is it straight from the bank account? Is it wherever? But your legals are very, very important. Guys, we've gone over time by 1 minute, and I'm going to have to dash off to another meeting. But thank you, and thank you, Aaron, for coming along. I hope that's been helpful.
Yeah, and thank you so much for the advice, guys, and everything. Really great to connect with you guys, and would love to keep in touch in the future. Would be
awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah, great, and yes, definitely keep in touch. But good luck with it.
Is there? Am I able to access the transcript of the chat afterwards to get those contact details? And
absolutely,
yep.
We'll send them to you. And you'll see the recording on the YouTube channel if in case you want to look back on it as well.
Fantastic.
Great. All right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for being here again for another Friday. Have a great weekend. 4 o'clock, happy hour. I have my voice back, so we can do happy hour today. Yeah, we look forward to seeing you casually at 4 o'clock if you can join us. Have a great day.
See you guys. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you.